Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. I just want to thank all our fans and listeners. I really appreciate all the support. And we have another awesome interview for you guys. We are joined today by an actor and stuntman with nearly 100 credits to his name, known for his work in Shanghai Noon, X-Men 2, Watchmen, Cabin in the Woods, and of course,
Yes.
Michael Myers in Halloween Resurrection, Mr. Brad Loree. Brad, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to say before we jump into these questions, brother?
Well, I'm just saying thanks for having me on the show, guys. I'm tickled to be here, and big fan of Florida. I just this time last year went with my brother who lives up here. We went down to the village. Do you guys know the
Oh,
village? The villages.
absolutely.
Well,
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
sir.
our half brother, we met him for the first time a year ago. Lives there. We went and hung out with him for a weekend. So
Oh,
everybody,
okay.
peace to
Yes.
Florida, and I
I
hope
know
you
where
guys are
that
all staying
is.
safe too, man.
Oh, yes, so
Crazy,
we're staying
crazy
safe.
times we're living in. So yeah.
Yeah, we're
Very,
trying. Yes, sir.
Mr. Leary, we've had other stuntmen, on our show, such as Kane Hodder, Tyler Main, and Ken Kersinger. Can you tell us what got you into this kind of line of work?
Well, it's funny you should mention Ken Kersinger. When I was 13, I went and saw my first Bruce Lee movie, fell in love with the martial arts, joined the local karate school, and the green belt instructor at that time was a guy named Tony Morelli. Tony went on over the years, became a full contact kickboxer. In fact, he was the WKA cruiserweight kickboxing champion. And because he was a world champion, which was not, you don't see a lot of that up here, he got started doing commercials and started doing standing work in the early 80s when the film industry was first coming to Vancouver. And he just sort of hired me once in a while. But it was actually Ken Kersinger who took me aside one day and said, Brad, you should be doing this full time. If you get a pager, a resume, and a headshot, I'll take you around. And so the way describe it is Tony opened the door, but Ken's the one who kicked me through. And it's because of Ken I'm in the film industry today. It's all his fault.
And speaking of Ken Kersinger, you went for the role of Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. Is that correct? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can't remember the producer's name, but he had seen me, the producer from Jason and Freddy, he'd seen me in an interview, and he was apparently impressed with how much thought I'd put into how I was going to play Michael Myers, even though he was a character that you're in full mask and you never speak. But because I had put a lot of thought into it, and I thought about things I wanted to do for close-ups with my eyes and whatnot. And so he had me come in, but Ronnie, who directed that show? Ronnie, somebody. As
Ronnie,
soon as
you.
he, as soon as he met me, he's too short. Ken's 3 inches taller than me, and they had him in big lifts, so they wanted, everyone's got to be 7 feet tall today. Like they're not bad enough; they got to be the Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that's why I got kibosh.
That's very true. So I mean, it's no secret you've definitely done some work on a lot of major blockbusters. Can you talk a little bit about your work on X-Men 2 and Shanghai Noon? Love both of those.
Ooh, Shanghai Noon. Let's go.
Shanghai Noon, yeah. Well, working with Jackie Chan was a big thrill. Being a Bruce Lee disciple and all that, because Jackie'd been a stunt guy on a couple of Bruce's films. Well, that was a particularly fun film because we were working, but we were bouncing back and forth out in Alberta in the Badlands between Shanghai Noon and a movie called Texas Rangers, which was a real bomb. Anyway, but we were all out there, all the gang there's dozens of us, of us guys from Vancouver, and we'd work 12 hours a day, hanging out and set with Jackie and his team, and then at night we were smoking cigars and having beer. But it was a lot of fun. I was one of the guys that threw Jackie Chan out of the saloon when he came back in. We were the first two guys to tackle him. So, and I got to do a little bit of a scene with Owen Wilson. So that was a lot of fun. And I eventually get clocked over the head with a whiskey bottle to get knocked out. So, but no, it was a great treat. I've actually got the picture hanging here. The cast picture.
Yeah, so I know you're probably sick of answering questions about
No,
Halloween,
no,
Michael
guys, I'm
Myers.
not. I'm not. I just don't
Okay.
always know the answers because I drink heavily.
Oh, that's hey, we understand that completely. You're the first Michael Myers from the original timeline that we've had on this show, so that's kind of cool. And so we wanted to ask you how you got the role of Michael Myers. Is it true that you were going in to be a stunt double for Austin Powers because of the Michael Myers thing?
Well, here's the thing, guys. When I was a kid, 19 years old, I was dating this girl who was really attractive, and she only liked horror films, so that's all we saw. And then when we broke up, one thing I said to myself was, "Thank goodness that I'll never have to see another horror film again." And then as soon as I was done with her, everybody's talking about this movie Halloween. Anyway, fast forward 17 years, I'm working on a low-budget TV show for Fox called Los Luchadores. These guys were Mexican wrestlers by day and crime fighters at night. And I was the stunt double and the stunt coordinator. And so I was making pretty darn good money, but we did our 13 episodes. And then everybody went off to find new work because even though we knew we were coming back for the second season, until that's happening, you got to go and, hedge your bets. So the first AD was interviewing for the show. And they mentioned to him that they didn't have their Canadian Michael Myers yet or their Canadian stunt coordinator to match Jamie Lee Curtis's double. So he said, well, who you should talk to is Brad Loree. So I get this phone call. I was driving in my car one day. I get a phone call from this lady I've never heard of, named Tracy Long. And she said, Brad, how tall are you? I says, I'm 6'2.5". Oh, perfect. Can you come in tomorrow to meet executives? And as a professional courtesy, because and then when she said, I could have swore she said they were looking for a stunt double for Michael Myers. And because it's been almost 20 years since I saw the movie, I thought she was talking about the guy from Toronto, the Austin Powers guy. And so when I went in there, I'm going through them, doing the walk for the director. Everybody was there. It was like hiring Michael was an afterthought kind of thing. And they said, okay, Brad, well, listen, we're not, you're the first guy we're looking at, but if we do choose you, because you don't have the job for sure yet, we'll probably send you down to LA to cast your head for the mask. And I said, well, wait a minute, I got to go all the way to LA just to double some hummy actor. They said, no, you're not going to double the guy. You're going to be the guy. And because I was a huge fan of the first Halloween, because I've never seen the original Dracula. I haven't seen Frankenstein, but I loved the first Halloween. And when he said I was going to play Michael Myers, so I passed on the other show and took Michael Myers' job, and here we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How was your experience working with Jamie Lee Curtis?
Jamie is a complete professional and a very, very sweet lady. She comes in, she puts in her 2 cents, and then she does the scene. She was only with us for 4 days, but she bought everybody a crew gift. I saw her at the one convention she did years ago, and I don't know if anybody, the other guys did, but I tossed in a certain percentage of what I was making that weekend, and which she got very emotional about. But she does a lot of work now with terminally ill kids out of the LA Children's Hospital, I guess it is, which I really admire. So I wanted to contribute, but no, she's awesome. She was great.
Well, and you touched on this just a little bit, but there's obviously been a plethora of different Michael Myers actors up to that point, and you said you did do a little bit of research, once you got the role. So can you go into that a little bit about what kind of research you did and what kind of spin you put on your performance?
Well, what for me was so eerie about Michael Myers was his gait, the way he walked, that slow, purposeful, methodical way he just kept coming. Right. And I really wanted to get that down because he was creepy with the mask. It looked like human skin, all that stuff. But it was the fact that he just kept, he was tenacious. He wouldn't quit. And so I watched all the Halloweens. I fast forward to all the scenes, but I kept coming back, of course, to the first one. I mean, there's a lot of guys. I mean, Dick Warlock was fantastic in the second one, but I watched Nick Castle over and over and over. And when the producer from when they asked me what I felt motivated Michael, why Michael was the way, in my mind he was like a man child that doesn't like a cat playing with a mouse that doesn't understand life and death, and when the mouse is dead is confused as to why it's not going to play anymore, so he tilts his head because he doesn't quite understand. But what I wanted for medium and close-up shots, and this is what I said to Dick Warlock, was I wanted his eyes to look soulless and like that. So what I did is I would slightly cross my eyes so there wouldn't be any focus in them, so he looked less human and more maniacal, or more like a shark, like there's no soul behind his eyes. And Dick Warlock actually noticed that before I even told him that's what I did, because He said, I think, Brad, you're as good as anybody that ever played the role, and I think it's because of what you did with your eyes. So I thought it was a pretty good compliment to come from Dick Warlock.
Absolutely.
Hey, before you go, Brian. Hey, Brad, I want to ask you a quick question, if you don't mind. What was your favorite scene as Michael Myers, and what was your favorite kill as Michael Myers?
Oh, here we go.
Well, getting kissed by Jamie Lee Curtis was probably my favorite scene. I flubbed that one a couple times just so we had to do it. No, I'm kidding. And my favorite kill, gosh, that's a good question. I would have to say, because I'm such a big fan of Katie Sackhoff, cutting her head off and having it roll down the stairs. I think that's my favorite kill. I mean,
That's
I enjoyed them all. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
I'll also tell you guys, the first kill, the kid that was setting up the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Southern Cal, just like Spielberg. That was a guy who, a couple of years after we did the movie, he was a local young actor that I knew from around, but he and I ended up being roommates with another guy a couple of years later. And he was a great guy. He loved being an actor, but when things slowed down in 2004, he became manically depressed and got hooked on painkillers, and he ended up supposedly bleeding to death in his sleep years later, which was really, really tragic. But I really enjoyed that kill, but it was hard because I had to hold the tripod on such a way that the camera was photographing him, but I actually had to physically pull. I didn't get any assistance with pulling him off the carpet, and he wasn't light. Let's say that. So.
I like that kill as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, shifting gears a little bit, I mean, you're a stuntman your whole career. I'm sure you've had, some pretty serious injuries. What's the worst one you've ever had?
Well, early mid 90s, I think it was. I was dubbing an actor on a show called Mantis, another low budget show for Canal, I think it was. He was an African American scientist, paraplegic in a wheelchair, but then he somehow became this hero, a superhero at night. Anyway, I was dubbing an alien on the show, and I had to jump through an 8-foot window from the 3rd story into an airbag.
Oh, no way.
That was the most dangerous one. That was the one where I was like, I really wish I'd have stayed in school. The other stunt was I did a high fall on a pilot called Undercover with William Forsythe, and we were bank robbers, and I was the last guy up the ladder. The helicopter was taken off, and I get shot, and I did a high fall off there, but I over-rotated when I landed in the box ring, and I fractured my back.
Oh, wow.
I fractured my back. I fractured both my shoulders at different times. I probably fractured my neck, but, as a young stunt guy, you didn't want to get the reputation of being fragile, and you didn't want to complain about being hurt. So, you worked, I know I broke this shoulder, but I just kept working at the time because I didn't have any insurance at the time. I didn't have any insurance built up with the union. So, but we had some injuries.
Yeah,
Wow.
Ken told us all about it too. And Ken, he's fractured his back, severed disc, almost got his head crushed flipping a Jeep. I was like,
yeah,
good. Yeah, it takes a special breed to do that job. So I commend you guys.
Absolutely. That's a
special breed. That's a polite way of saying it.
Hey, I wasn't gonna go there with it,
No, I hear you, man. What's long and hard on a stunt, man? Grade 9. Anyway, that's an old joke. I never told you that. Okay.
Oh, well, now everyone knows, but that's all right. That's
Fair
okay.
enough.
Shifting gears a minute here, can you talk a little bit about your work on one of my personal favorites, Cabin in the Woods?
Cabin in the Woods, the classic.
It is a classic.
I got to be honest with you. When I was working on it, it wasn't called Cabin in the Woods, and I had some young fans at one time. You worked on Cabin in the Woods, and I went, no. Yeah, you did. It's on your resume. And I go, well, that's got to be a mistake. Then, of course, I realized the working title became Cabin in the Woods. And if it's the movie I'm thinking of, I was one of the 4 million SWAT guys in the full gear. So you wouldn't have been able to pick me out from Adam.
Right.
So I didn't have a love scene with the lead. Let's just say that. But I was willing.
I don't blame you there.
Yeah.
Don't blame me there.
Well, this I'm anticipating the answer to this question, but we started asking this when we had Lisa Wilcox on the show, and we've gotten a ton of crazy answers, especially from Kane Hodder and everybody. But we started asking this to all of our guests. So you frequent horror conventions. What's the weirdest or craziest thing that you've ever had happen to you or witnessed at one of those things?
Guys, I can't say that on the air.
Oh, sure you can. It's a rated
we
R
saw some stuff when we went, so I can only imagine
I'll bet. Okay,
frequent business
thing I can talk about. The strangest thing I can talk about. Well, the strangest thing that for me, and I maybe shouldn't say this, but what I find strange is these. I may say it's strange. I don't know if this is what the answer you want, guys, but like the 4-year-old kids running around in Michael Myers mask that have seen all the movies. I find that strange because I think those kids are too young to watch those movies, in my opinion. But I did an appearance in Georgia, and there was 3-year-old kid. He's seen all your movies, and I'm going, well, yeah, but does he understand? No wonder we got so many
Right.
serial killers down south.
Not the only reason. It's also hot as hell.
That's not really the answer you're looking for, but that's as best as I can talk about.
Oh, I understand.
Oh yeah, we've heard some really, really good stories.
Oh yeah, they're a lot of fun, but some of them, my memory's blurred, if you know what I mean.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Party starts as soon as you get off the plane, right? So
No
right.
doubt.
Hey Brad, do you have anything else on the docket coming up? It looks like you have a credited role in the 2020 Little Fish, but this year with COVID, I'm sure that it's been hell on the industry. You got anything you want to plug?
guys, I've been doing. I went back to work kind of part time just to get out of the house a year or 2 years ago, and I've been doing background kind of stuff, like nothing heavy duty. So worked on Supergirl, but I mean to plug it, not really, guys. And with COVID, of course, the protocol is such now that I don't know if I'm ever going to see a movie set again, at least as a stunt guy. So I might one day pursue acting again. But right now I'm dealing with some bad arthritis in my knees. Like I have a really hard time walking right now. Of course, I gained a few pounds over during since the beginning of the pandemic. So, but no, I don't really have. I mean, I was looking forward to the new Halloween, but now they've pushed it till next year.
Yeah, that was a
Halloween
heartbreaker.
Kills, is it called or something?
Kills. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker on all of us.
Absolutely.
Do you want to
Did I
plug your
mention my
website?
website?
Yeah,
Yes,
plug your
yes,
website.
go ahead.
Plug anything you want to.
It's called Big Boogeyman Brad. Boogeyman Brad? Something like that. My kid's in charge of it, and he sent me a text just before you guys phoned. Don't forget to plug the website. I go, what's it called again? Well, because on Instagram I'm Big Bad Boogeyman Brad.
Yes.
And my website is Boogeyman Brad. So that's yeah. I don't know what the difference is, but anyway.
Yeah,
Sorry
I'll make
for the
sure
confusion.
I'll plug it for you right now.
I appreciate that.
Boogeymanbrad.com.
Look us up, and I'll
Boogeymanbrad.com.
send you guys some free swag.
Hey, there we go.
And his Instagram, if you want to give him a follow on Instagram, is Big Bad
Sure, okay,
Boogeyman
I will.
Brad.
You guys don't go out there. I will definitely follow you guys, and I really appreciate you having me on. So, anytime you're short of a guest, give me a call.
Hey Brad, before you go, I just want to say I really liked your portrayal as Michael Myers.
I do too.
I can tell that you put in the hard work because I love Ken Kersinger's portrayal as Jason, the slow, precise, the calculated Michael Myers. And I also that opening scene where you chase Jamie Lee Curtis through the mental hospital. I love that scene, honestly. I think you're great. I think you were a great Michael Myers, man. No lie. I think you were really good.
I appreciate that, guys, but the next time, if you ever watch it again, I got to tell you, the girl that was the assistant to the hair lady, do you have time for this?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
She was a little bit, she was new, okay? Let's just say she was green. And she was making my hair look like the guys from Duran Duran, like a puffy dandelion. And I knew it wasn't supposed to look like it. And I remember one time looking at my shadow in this hallway, but, I was just, so I didn't want to cause any ripples or cause any trouble. But if you watch the part where I'm chasing her up this, like from when I start to chase her, my hair's like I look like Carrot Top. And then when I come through the door on the roof, it's completely different. And I don't, if you look, people don't notice it because they're watching this. So the scene's kind of intense. But if you watch that next time, you'll see how much my hair changed. And I finally had to point it out. But we had so much fun on that. And, I guess Busta had a bit of I don't know. I never saw any issues with Busta. Mind you, I went and did my scenes and I sat in the trailer like a good stuntman, but he always gave me a big, big, very genuine hug in the mornings. And I got to be very good friends with his acting coach, a lady named Tracy. And she she was a sweetheart. I just, like I said, I really admire, who did I say I admired? All of them.
Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes and Katie Sackhoff and Bianca, of course. I try and watch that goofy TV shows he's in, but I watch it because she's in it, but I'm not a big David Spade fan. So.
And Tyra Banks too. That was a star-studded cast.
Yeah. I mean, except for Michael Myers getting beaten up by Busta Rhymes, and I got so much flack for that. Holy crap! People still talk about that.
You wrote the script or something.
Well, that's what I said. I said, guys, I was just fortunate to be there. I wasn't gonna make demands. So, no, we had a great time. And The show that I passed on, I didn't go back to. This is super rare, but they did one episode the second season, second episode. In the middle of the third episode, they came and pulled the plug and said, "That's it, we're done, we're going down."
Well, you picked the right one.
Yeah, so I picked the right thing for sure.
Absolutely. I have one final question since we're talking about Halloween and Resurrection. You mentioned Busta Rhymes. I have to ask, when he's how many times did you guys shoot the trick or treat motherfucker scene? And were you laughing?
No, we shot that scene probably 3 or 4 times, and originally the kid that she was on the computer with, that was telling her he's on the roof and this, that, he was the one that came and saved her. But I guess, they have test audiences when they have the final product and they show it. Well, people didn't think it made sense that kid came, so they changed it to Busta Rhymes saving him. But the part where I really had a hard time shooting was the scene where Busta was dressed as Michael Myers and followed me on the camera. When we shot that, especially during the rehearsal, when he started flipping out, I couldn't keep it together. He was so funny. I thought he did a great job. I laughed a lot. Yeah, we had fun.
Absolutely.
Brad, I just want to thank you for joining us.
Yes.
This was a really fun interview. You seem like a really fun, cool guy. And we'll make sure we shout your Instagram and your website out when we drop the links.
Okay, guys, don't rush me off here because I got nothing better to talk to you. Like I didn't want to give you the impression I was wanting to leave. So.
Oh no,
that's
fine.
right. I'm gonna go ahead and ask you one more question then, since you brought up Halloween Kills. You're a Michael Myers veteran. What do you think about the Halloween 2018 and the future of it?
Well, I understand that that Jamie agreed to do 2 more pictures, one called Halloween Kills and the last one's called Halloween Ends.
Yes, sir.
And is that the rumor that that's going to be the end of the franchise?
That's the rumor, but
it's going to be into this timeline that they've created.
Yeah, I think it's going to make too much money to end it all.
Well, the last one was a piece of crap and it made $220 million.
It made a lot of money.
Did I say that out loud? I mean, like, is Jamie going to say no to more? I mean, let's face it, we're all going to go see the movie.
Hey, you can't kill the boogeyman.
Well, that's just it.
Right.
And I remember Mustafa Cod saying he had his Michael Myers doll, and he goes, "I love this guy." And they asked him how many sequels he was hoping to make. He said, "Well, I'll stop when we've done 22." So we got a few more to do, guys, before we shut that series down. So, and I'll be sad to see it go.
Absolutely. Hey, even if they're bad, I'm still going to come out to the theater to see them. That's how that goes.
Hey, man, I sat through the third one in the movie theater. My popcorn and my Coke.
Oh, I'm so sorry that you did that.
I was so disappointed because, like I said, I wasn't into horror films, but I thought that the second one was one of the best sequels to any movie I've ever seen. So, of course, I was there lining up to go to the third one. And then when the guy didn't show up, I thought, wait a second. This one wasn't as good. So.
Well, Brad, I think I'll speak on behalf of me and Brian and Mike. We really appreciate your time. We had a great time interviewing you. And, yeah, we'll definitely promote your Instagram and your website. And we'll definitely have you back on anytime.
You're definitely welcome back anytime.
Oh, listen, guys, it's my pleasure. Honest to God, it was. But I just want you guys to take care. God bless. Stay safe. All right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Talk again.
Yes, sir.
All right, brothers. Ciao, man.